Welcome, I'm Darren, and I'll be your guide today as I rank the worst baseball parallel designs of 1994. Now, that's not entirely true because there were 14 parallels in 1994, or I identified 14 parallels. And so I figured that I'd just split them right down the middle, 7 on best list, 7 on the worst list. But really, I think there are 8 that are really good and 6 that are not. So that means that one card that I think is actually a really good parallel, it shows up here on this list. But it's the one that just doesn't quite make the grade, so that's the reason that I have it here right on the edge. And that is the Collector's Choice Signature Gold Parallel. Now, the Gold Signature card is, it looks really good, and especially for Collector's Choice, because Collector's Choice is just a basic card. That's all it is. It's supposed to be largely unadorned, although in the case of baseball, they did put pinstriping on the cards, which made those cards look a lot better than they did in the other sports. But it's all about just simple and unencumbered. And the silver parallel, which I'll be getting to, it does that exactly. The gold, however, they really dressed it up well, especially in baseball, where in football and in basketball, they had chroming on the surface. For football, it was around the border. For basketball, it was the whole card. Neither of those were good choices. In baseball, they didn't bother to chrome any part of the card, so that means that the gold print is what makes the card look different. And then, of course, the gold foil signature. And the gold foil signature is the key to this card, what makes the card really resonate. But that gold border looks really nice. But it's also the reason that it's held back, because it does look kind of cheap. It looks like it's supposed to be the base level. In fact, in the next year, they would basically do exactly that with the Platinum Club, or Players Club, sorry. Players Club and Players Club Platinum, where the Players Club is printed and the Platinum cards have the chroming. That's what it looks like with this card. So that's the only hindrance that the card has, is it looks like there's supposed to be another tier. But it's not really that bad because it does look really nice. And for Collector's Choice, this was such a winner. So I do like it. But like I said, it's not quite a top tier card. So it ends up here on this list, but it's incidentally on this list. Now, the other essentially honorable mention is a card that is closer to deserving to be on the worst of list, which is the Topps Gold card. And this is just kind of sad with Topps, because in 1992, when they developed Topps Gold, it was brilliant, it was innovative, it was exciting, it was not a very good parallel. For what it was supposed to do, it did an incredible job. And I remember in 1992 when those cards came out, and dude, it literally did. I don't know about over in baseball, but over in basketball, it lit up the whole industry. We loved that card, and we pursued it like crazy. But over time, it's not that the card started to look bad, it's that the card was forgettable. There was nothing distinctive about the card. 1993, they had a little bit more detailing in it, which helped a bit, but still, it was not very good. And then with basketball, and then in 1994 with baseball, they shrank it down so that it was just fine detailing on the card, which kind of helped, but at the same time, it wasn't as distinctive. It didn't stand, in a display case, these cards didn't stand out. And a big part of the problem is that because they tried to simplify it to such a subtle detail on the card, there was a lot of potential that the card had. That you would look at the 1994 regular Topps football card, they capitalized on it by putting additional gold foil as part of the border of the card. And this was the base level. This wasn't even the parallel. The parallel, they did a special effect on the card that really played around with it, because the base card was already a big upgrade over what they did in baseball as the parallel. So this is a card that is decent enough, but it fails to capture the potential that Topps Gold would have, and they would capture that not with Topps Gold in football, but they would capture it with the base card in football. So here they just, I don't know. They would need to move on, and thankfully they were about to. So those are the 2 cards that don't fit on the 5 worst card list. So kicking off the 5 worst, we start off at number 5 with SP. And this is just kind of, it's just kind of sad. Now, the SP design for 1994 wasn't all that great anyway. The whole card's chromed right from the outset, which is, I don't get why they bothered to do it. And then, while I really like the detailing of the border itself is clunky and boring, and it disrupts the opportunity for the image to look good at all. And then you get the die cutting, and I gotta admit, I like the die cutting itself. If this was on the right card, it would look great. But it's not on a card where the design at all works with it, and so it doesn't read with the card. I mean, they didn't even line it up so that the die cutting would line up with the border, even in that capacity. It looks like somebody cut the card. That's the thing. It looks like a home project. It doesn't look like a professional card. If you're in the groove of these are the cards and then this is the parallel, then all right, it's actually not that bad. But that's not the case. The case is that these cards really do need to stand on their own, and they just don't work that way at all. So this very much is a disappointment. Whether it's the base cards or even the insert cards, they all just, yeah, they needed to think it through, and they clearly did not. Now, at number 4, this is what I'm going to say is my guilty pleasure. And the reason I say that is the Score Gold Rush cards are my second favorite card on this list. And yet, I'm not putting it in the honorable mention because I don't think it's a very good card. It's just that of all these cards, this is the one I like looking at the most because it looks special. The gold signature cards look special, and they succeed at that. With this one, it looks special on a card that already has enough design work that even with the gold foil, the chromed gold foil on the card, still there's enough design interest in it to work with the very strong and vibrant gold foil to look pretty good. And I do like the fact that they didn't chrome the player. So the player's still able to work well in this card. So that combination, it makes the card work for me as an audience member. It makes it work really well, but it is kind of diluted. And when you get a number of these cards, it also kind of hinders the potential for the cards to be distinctive. So at the end of the day, I think that it's the 4th worst card, but it is the one that I like looking at the second most. There you go. Now, number 3 is same company. We're going with Pinnacle with their artist proof cards, which is just such a huge disappointment because this follows the museum collection cards. The museum collection cards are the more basic parallel. Artist proof is the upgrade on it, and yet there's nothing upgraded about this card. Again, how is this the upgrade over the Dufex cards? And as much as I always wish that they had done artist proof cards for football, looking at this, I'm glad that they didn't. So yeah, there it is. But to me, this is the 3rd worst. Now at number 2, we get back to collector's choice. And here is the silver signature cards. And the problem here is that that's the only change on the card, is just the silver foil signature, which is something you could easily miss because it just kind of blends into the card. There's nothing special about it. There's nothing distinctive about it. There's nothing that their parallel itself is almost like an afterthought. And that's really disappointing. Now, I'm not going to say that over football where they had the big blocky text for the team name, I'm not going to say that that's better because I like the signature, but at least the blocky text is something that is distinctive. When you look at this card, oh, you know that it's a parallel. It does not hide. Over here in baseball, well, it really kind of does. It can easily be overlooked. So I wish that they had done something more with these cards. But this is how it went. So to me, this is the 2nd worst. But it's a huge leap to number 1, which is Sportflics, specifically the artist proof cards. And the artist proof cards, this was not a good year for Pinnacle dealing with artist proof because most of the artist proof didn't work. In this case, they already had the limitation of Sportflics cards. The lenticular surface does not work well for this, and they had a big blocky logo that Okay, I'm not a fan of the football logo. The way that that card or that logo looks on the card, I don't think is great. I think it's uh, whew, at least it's distinctive. That's the one thing I want to say about the football design is that it's distinctive. With baseball, I don't think it looks distinctive. And I know that it's using pretty much the same logo that they'd used on Pinnacle, but still, the way that it looks, it is something that I want something special. If you're going to make something that bold and big, you got to make it special. And it looks like some 1970s reject thing that they stuck onto the card. And that's on top of cards that don't look good anyway. Now, in the regular series of Sportflix for 1994, they didn't do this. They only did this in the rookie and traded cards. And those cards are already on the back foot because the design is not good. You add this onto it and it doesn't improve it. It might actually hold the card back. So, I mean, yeah, this really does kind of bewilder me because when I look at it, I just go, really? That's what you did? And that's the best way I can describe it. So to me, this is hands down the worst baseball parallel design for 1994. So I'm going to be doing the best of list for baseball coming up. I've already done football, basketball, and hockey. So I've already done those if you haven't seen those. Definitely look out for the videos that come up. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so. Thank you very much for watching.